This is Gene Adam, former lead singer of Iced Earth. Be sure to subscribe to Podcast and Stone, and don't forget, join our community on social media. Metal lives.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Iced Earth community, welcome to Podcast in Stone, the only podcast 110,000% dedicated to ice and Mother fucking Earth. Today, I'm joined, as always, with the incomparable Chuck Hoskins. Today, we are doing something we enjoy doing a lot of the time. Yes. Which is fan booking the shit out of Iced Earth stuff. So today we're going to be fan booking 10 songs that we would like to see if they would release a quote unquote Days of Purgatory 2. Now the criteria for these choices are basically songs that were not on the original one disc release of Days of Purgatory. So the Burnt Offering stuff is free game because in theory it came out afterwards and it was kind of unnecessary on that release. So we can include Burnt Offering songs, and basically anything after Burnt Offerings is good to go. And we are gonna imagine these songs with the current lineup and with Stu singing. So it's going to be a fun one. Chuck, how are you doing today?
And if you're watching this, kind of one of the things that inspired this, and yes, we do enjoy fan booking the shit out of Iced Earth. It's something I've been doing since, when you become a fan, if you write down your favorite set list or you wish you're fan booking, and that's what we love to talk about. And a year or so ago, John had talked about re-recording possibly several albums. Now he's kind of backstepped on that a lot because there's so much going on, and I don't think we're going to see multiple albums re-recorded at this point. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's going to happen. So what we did is we said, you don't have to do it, all of them. Pick a lot of them, do Days of Purgatory 2, and put some songs out. It wouldn't take forever to do. Then you don't have to have the label of which album to start at or whatever. Just do a best of, and I think it would be cool, and that's what we've done here today.
I think with the current climate of things going on in the world, and we all know how it is right now, I think doing a collection of songs and re-recording them for just like a in-betweener release or an EP, maybe pick 5-6 songs and put them on, like re-record 5 or 6 songs, one song per era or whatever, would be a cool little in-betweener before a full-on studio album. I think that's the best way to go. I know John was mentioning doing Storm Rider first and going full force on Storm Rider, but I think doing a little collection of older songs re-recorded with the current lineup, a little EP or maybe like a studio effort, would be a cool thing. And I don't think it would alienate the fans as much as a re-record of a classic album would. Do you agree?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's something that's been a mixed bag, is when this came about, the reactions of fans. Some people's like, I don't want it. Some people's like, it all over the place. I'm for it because I love Stu Block and I love the original Days of Purgatory. So to me, having 2 versions of one of your favorite albums or song, I mean, Storm Rider is my favorite album of all time. I've got pretty close to 2 different versions of that. And why not? I love it. And if there's a third one with Stu, I have 3 versions of my favorite album. Who doesn't want that? So I love the idea. I got it. But, as time goes on, I don't think we're going to see multiple albums. So this was just a fun fan booking thing. Maybe some of these will get recorded. Like you said, maybe an EP or bonus tracks, or maybe they'll never happen. But today, in our fantasy world today, we're fantasy booking Days of Purgatory 2. I think maybe if you had Tori on the cover and maybe Set leading her by a leash or something, I don't know, something cool. Set's around now, so not to be not sexist or anything, but Set's awesome. So
I'd more have a I can imagine a a cover art of them actually like doing a test of strength with each other. Because
that would be cool.
Because at the end of the day, Tori is a demon, isn't she, with powers and stuff.
Yeah.
So you can imagine them going, "Argh," having a power struggle. That'd be cool.
And in our sound check, we were discussing how, the Purgatory. When I first became an Iced Earth fan, Purgatory was Days of Purgatory, and then I realized pre-Iced Earth was Purgatory, as we all know now. The history is a lot more out there now, but so this was a wrong title. The first, even though we would call this Days of Purgatory 2, there's no songs from the original Purgatory. But, I mean, the first one didn't either. So this is just Days of Purgatory.
We're using that name solely because Days of Purgatory...
Solely because the first one. Yeah.
Days of Purgatory was a kind of like look back at the older stuff, but with Matt Barlow and some re-recorded bass and drum stuff. Yeah. So we're looking at it from that kind of point of view, like, oh yeah, we're doing the same thing here, so we might as well just like take that title and just put a 2 on the end, just to make it simple.
Yeah, so here we are. If you watched our last episode, we did the top 10 Stu Block era songs. Now we're fantasy booking 10 more Stu Block era songs. I went first last one, Jason. So do you want to start us off with your first track of your Days of Purgatory 2?
I'm just going to say this first. If you like this kind of fan booking top 10 content, please comment down below and like this episode. It really helps us out to know where we can just do some crazy fan booking ideas for the future. But yeah, kicking this off, Days of Purgatory 2 with Stu Block on the current lineup. Number 10 for me would be Wolf, because he nailed it. He nailed it on the Dystopia tour and on the other whenever he's played it live, he has nailed it, and I think Wolf would be incredible as a re-record.
Wolf was a track that I was really glad to hear. There's a few albums that don't always get a ton of play, but every time I hear a horror show song, I feel like it's a treat. So was there any played on the Plagues tour? I forget. Oh, they did. Did they do any on the Plagues tour? I forget offhand.
Dracula.
I know I got to hear Dracula and Damien on the Dystopia tour, and I didn't get to hear any on the Incorruptible. Some cities got Dracula. Was there any horror show songs on the Plague set list? I can't remember. I don't think so. Anyway, we digress a lot. Wolf's a great song. And Stu nailed all of the horror show stuff. So Wolf is a great selection. So
you're number 10, sir.
Well, I'm going to do mine a little differently.
Right.
And this is kind of some of this. I didn't just pick a song that was my favorite, like, oh, I'd like to hear that. I thought of different songs that I thought that Stu could maybe even do better than the original. So these are songs that I specifically wanted to hear Stu in the current lineup with. So I did mine as a track, as like a CD. So my CD track 1 is Curse the Sky off the first album. It was not on the original, and I could just so hear Stu on those vocals. I think that's a song that's well overlooked in the catalog, and I think that if they updated it, put Jake on the solo, and current lineup, I think would kill that. So my number, what are your thoughts on Curse the Sky?
Many of you know it's my favourite song off the debut album. I think it'd be an interesting one. It'd be interesting. Cool. Gene Adam is king, though, I must say. He is king on that song. But, got to be open-minded to these things, and I think with the production style, with the production job of Incorruptible and Stu's voice, I think that song would sound bang up to date, and it would sound great. That's a great choice. I think it's a wicked choice.
I was listening to it today, and it sounds modern and up to date. Because I know, and I love a lot of music from the late 80s, early 90s, and they sounded dated. When I listened to the debut album, a lot of the stuff is so current sounding. Like Curse the Sky, if they released it today, you'd be like, wow, that's a great new song. You know, so what is your number 9, sir?
We're doing this so weird. We're doing it so different. I love it. It's so it's cool. I didn't even think about doing it like a track listing, but oh well. But I like to preface though that I did choose these songs. They're kind of like partly, obviously, they're songs I want to hear Stu sing, in the studio setting. But they also, I feel they're songs I think Stu could really do really good justice to. So keep that in mind, people that are listening, and of course you, Chuck, you don't know what I'm going to pick. But yeah, my next pick is going to be The Last Laugh from Dark Saga. Because I think Stu will smash it. I think it'd be fucking wicked. I think Stu will do a great job on it. It's fucking speed. It's just a great speed metal track off the Dark Saga.
That is an excellent choice. I'm almost mad at myself for not picking that now. Last Laugh was a song that I was so pleased that it was on Alive in Athens. And you're right, I could totally hear, not that these songs are dead, but current lineup would bring so much life into that song. I mean, they could do Curse the Sky and Last Laugh and put it out as a little EP, and people would be going ape shit over it. I would. God, I'd order the shit out of that. But Last Laugh is a great choice.
Yeah, so. I think Stu would just smash it. I think it'd be well good. Taking nothing away from the GOAT though, because obviously Matt Barlow is Matt Barlow. But yeah, I just think it'd just be a really good song for like, because like, I think we have heard him do other Dark Saga songs, right?
Hmm?
I can't think off the top of my head. But like, I think Last Laugh is a really good deep cut that I think he just would fucking smash. So yeah, that is my second choice.
We have heard him do I Died for You, The Hunter, Slave to the Dark,
Question of Heaven.
And did he do Dark Saga?
I don't think so. Not when I've seen him.
Okay, so we've heard some of them. My second choice is also a deeper track from the Dark Saga album. It's Depths of Hell.
Yeah.
It's a song that I think would be, I hear kind of the slow speaking beginning, and I could hear his voice doing that. And I think that would be just a cool song to hear updated. And I love it. John said that they did it before live, but it was very limited. I think it'd be a cool song to introduce again. And it's, I kind of did mine a little bit around the songs that he's done live. Not that I don't love them, but just to hear different things. So Depths of Hell is my second selection.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Great song, man. Great song. Like, deep cut, serious deep cut, man.
Yeah. It's one of my favorites off Dark Saga.
Everyone knows we love that one. My next pick would be my number 3 or my number 8, and depending how we are counting these down. I don't know. I've completely I think it's completely confused me now. Whatever it is, but like my number 3, my number 8, whatever you want to do, is the title track from Framing Armageddon. Stu would smash this fucking out of the park, man.
Wow.
Like I just think he's got that. I don't want to say he's got the Tim Owens falsetto, but he comes close, and I think he's got the power and the voice to do the whole Framing Armageddon falsetto parts, and it'd just be wicked. I do like his higher register. He puts on this higher register with songs like 10,000 Strong and Decoration Day. And I do like his take on the Tim Ripper Owen stuff, and I think he'd smash Framing Armageddon. It'd just be wicked.
I think that's good outside of the box thinking too. His Crucible and Framing stuff off of Ancient Curion I loved, because it was to me it was so outside of the box that I was like, yes, I love that deeper stuff than just the, hit, 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 hit. So that would be a great one. So great choice, my friend. My third pick, and I'm kind of going in chronological order, is my second and last selection from Dark Saga. It's Question of Heaven. It's one of my favorite songs, and I heard him do it. It's on Kurion, but I think it's just such a beautiful song that he did very, very well, and I'd like to hear a studio version of it. So I went with The Question of Heaven as my third track.
I think you do really well on that one. I think
Absolutely.
it's got that somber. I know, like everyone be like, Barlow the goat. We understand, the Barlow version, no matter the context, be it Alive in Athens, whatever context you want, Festivals of the Wicked, whatever it is, Barlow is king when it comes to the Dark Saga stuff. But yeah, I still think it's. I think Stu's at his best when he does the somber stuff, and I think the Dark Saga stuff he's really strong with the Dark Saga stuff. So I think that's a good choice, man. It's a good shout. My number 7 is going all the way back to the darkest time for the band, and I think Stu would sound awesome on this song in particular. It's from Burnt Offerings. This song is Diary. I think Stu would fucking nail it. I don't get me wrong. I love the original. I love, obviously, Barlow is my favourite singer of all time. I love Barlow's kind of vocals on it. Obviously, the lyrics are Barlow's own lyrics. Like he wrote that song. But yeah, I just can imagine the studio doing it like Twilight of Morning. Oh, it'd do so good. It'd be so good. Diary, man, it's so heavy as well. It's so heavy and melodic at the same time. Stu would nail it.
Well, I think that also would update just from modern production too.
Oh mate, can you imagine how heavy it's going to be with fucking modern production? Jesus, it'd be so heavy.
And if something like this were to come out, you'd have to have an open mind, because I love the first 2 albums as is, but there's some I like from, you know what I'm saying? I like some versions from Matt better, and I like some from John and Gene better. So I think that if they put out a 10 song, it might be 5 and 5. 5 of them, you might say, you know what, I like it, but I like the original, but this and this, So if something like this were to happen, you just go into it with an open mind, and some of them you might love more, and some you might like the original. That's always the case. Some songs you're always going to just hold to the original, no matter what happens, and that's fine. So, but good select, man. I want to hear that now. Well, I mean, Dante's was our favorite from that same album, and you saw how modern production helped with that.
Yeah.
So, God, I would love for them to do Burnt Offerings album over. Okay, for my 4th selection, I went to your favorite album of all time, Something Wicked This Way Comes. I thought outside a little bit of the box a little bit. My first selection of that album is Stand Alone.
Tune. What a tune.
It's so heavy, and I just, I don't have to hear Burning Times, because we've got that from Kurion. He nails it. It's perfect. But Stand Alone is a song to me that's almost as good as Burning Times. It's pretty close. And I think that Stu would sound amazing on it. So Stand Alone is my 4th song off of my Days of Purgatory 2.
Yeah, that's a good shout. That is a good shout. My next choice, which would be number 5. Was it number 5? What am I on?
Yeah, because I just done my 4. You went first.
Yeah, 5 or 6 or whatever, however we're counting this down, because it's confused me. But yeah, my next pick is going to be also off of Something Wicked This Way Comes. And I wanted to go like you. I wanted to kind of go for a deep cut, because we've already heard stuff like Burning Times, Melancholy, Watching Over Me, Disciple of the Lie. We've heard the majority of that record live, and I'm picking Reaping Stone. as my Something Wicked pick, and I going back to that song though, I forget how heavy that song is. It's a heavy song, man. It's heavy. It's great. That whole album's perfect, but yeah, it's great. I think Stu would do a really good job on Reaping Stone. I think it's got enough of that heaviness to it, and it's got enough of that really soulful, melodic kind of vocal to it that I think Stu would do really well. Do really, really well on it.
You know, this is weird because my fifth pick is also off the Something Wicked album. It's Reaping Stone.
Yeah.
And I was listening to it a couple of days ago, and I forgot how much I love that song. And I could just so hear his soulful, you know, just the modern update on that would just sound amazing. To me, that's one, and like you said, part of it is not the fatigue of the other songs, but you know, we've heard them on the Something Wicked trilogy. We've heard them on, you know, the hits of that album. So Reaping Stone is a song that is just as good as some of those other songs that doesn't get the love. So I think an updated Reaping Stone would be huge. So I picked Reaping Stone as number 5. That's so crazy that we picked it right there in the middle together. So
to be fair, like, I was very hesitant about putting Something Wicked on this list because it's my favorite album of all time and it's just perfect. But I want you to try and give each kind of era after from Burnt Offering to kind of shout on it, because it's got to have a fair balance, right? So that's what I tried to do. So yeah, so what have I covered? What have I done? Right, so I've done Horror Show with Wolf, Last Laugh off of Dark Saga, Frame Armageddon off of Frame Armageddon, Diary off of Burnt Offerings, Reaping Stone off of Something Wicked Straight Comes. So yeah, my number 5 or 4, depending if you're counting down or counting upwards, is one of the best songs the band has ever written, and I think it's gonna be very. Stu's gonna have a hard job to do it justice because it's amazing. Which is Come What May off of Crucible. I think Stu might just have the chops for it. I mean, Matt is Matt and he's a goat, but I think Stu might just about have those chops for Come What May.
they did it live, but it's pretty crappy quality on YouTube. Not the song. Not the song crappy.
Yeah, I know.
Just the quality of the video itself is not very good, but it is on YouTube. They must have did it very limited on the Dystopia tour. I didn't get it.
Me neither. Like, if I got it, I'd be losing my shit. Seriously.
That was one for me that I really didn't super appreciate till we did our deep dive for the episode. So I'm not sure I would have truly appreciated it at that time like I do now. So I don't want to talk about Come What May right now, but that's a good selection for you.
Yeah.
My number 6 selection is something off the Horror Show album, and there's so many great selections there, but I wanted to go with something again that wasn't on Curion, and I will say I mentioned this in our last episode. Damien off Curion is my favorite version of that song, so I think that's perfect as it is. I went with Jekyll and Hyde, and I just think it's the perfect kind of. you look at me like it's on your list too.
It's not spoilers, but
okay. It's just a song that I think would be perfect for Stu. I kind of went through the track. I definitely wanted to represent Horror Show, and I just think that one, it was Frankenstein was close, but I think Jekyll and Hyde was the better song of the bunch that he hadn't recorded. So number 6 selection for me is Jekyll and Hyde off the Horror Show. I think that Stu would sound great on it, and it'd be cool to hear Jake on those on the guitar solo too.
Well, what number are you on there? Because I've lost.
That's my 6th one, so you should be on your number 4.
Okay. My number 4 is from Glorious Burden. The Reckoning from the Glorious Burden. I think Stu would absolutely maybe make it better, than the Ripper one. I think Stu's got, like you said, like we spoke about his range on the last episode, on the top 10 Stu Block era episode. We spoke about the range, and I think Stu's got a bigger range of vocal than Ripper Owens. So I think Stu could make The Reckoning 10 times better. He could have a lot of fun with different deliveries and different ways of approaching it. I think it'll be fucking epic.
Well, before I comment too much on that, I'll tell you my number 7 is off The Glorious Burden. It is The Reckoning.
You said that.
I was listening to Glorious Burden the other day, and I'm listening to it, and I'm hearing Stu sing it, and I was wondering why they haven't done that live yet. I know they did Red Baron, but I think that this one is a little bit more that would be his range. I think it, like you said, I think this one could probably be better. I think it's just a heavy song. We've kind of compared Seven-Headed Horde to this one before. Yeah. And I think that the current lineup, current production would just kill it. Mm-hmm. And I think this song doesn't get its due in the collection. So I think that's an excellent choice. And even if this re-recording stuff never happens, they need to throw it in live because Stu would kill it.
Definitely.
Yeah. Definitely. And I love the original. I'm not talking bad about the original. I love it. I think that Stu could take it and elevate it. So that's 2 that we've agreed completely on. So let's hear your third pick.
My third pick. Oh, sorry, my brain went dead. My brain's got My third pick is also off of The Glorious Burden. And for me, out of any song off of The Glorious Burden, this song would be perfect for Stu Block. It'd be perfect for his voice.
Okay.
When the Eagle Cries. He'd smash it. Like I said in our retrospect, I don't feel Tim Owens has enough emotion in his vocals on that song. I like it a lot more than I used to, but I feel it needs that dynamic range vocally to portray that power and emotion that I feel Stu can do that, and I think it'll lift that song up into something truly outstanding. So yeah, When the Eagle Cries.
That's a great choice, and that's a song that's kind of got mixed reactions. Some people doesn't think it's aged well. I don't mind it at all. I like the track. I mean, is it very dated to the 9/11 stuff? Of course, but I think it's a good song, and I think that if they added an acoustic set eventually, or did a little acoustic EP, I could totally hear Stu singing that. So that was a great choice. I enjoy the song a lot. Now, between the 2 versions on Glorious Burden, I like the acoustic one better. Do you have a preference or no?
Just the original version. I prefer that, yeah.
Okay. Now, I also picked 2 off the Glorious Burden, and my second selection was Green Face.
Nice.
And I think it's kind of the sister song to The Reckoning.
Yeah,
just a head kind of, but that
oh yeah.
The way this Green Face, I could just totally hear Stu taking that to elevated levels. So those 2 songs are some of my favorite off the Glorious Burden, and I think that Stu could totally nail it. Again, if they introduce that one live instead of a re-recording, I think that would kill live.
Yeah, man. Oh, mate.
It's heavy too. It's heavy, crunchy, heavy guitar.
I would never consider Iced Earth to be a band that I would ever mosh to. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But I can imagine a crazy mosh pit when they come out with a dun 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 dun. Mate, can you imagine the fucking circle pit on that song? It'd be mad. It's a circle pit song, man. That'd be fucking wicked.
Yeah, I could hear totally. It'd be cool to hear him sing it.
Yeah, it'd be fucking
So,
great. It'd be cool.
Green
Good
Face
shout.
is
Good
my
shout. Good
A
shout.
select.
Good shout. What are we on? I've lost count.
You're on your number 2.
Number 2. My number 2 is an interesting one because I feel that it's a really good mid-paced song. We've heard it with Ripper and we've heard it with Barlow. It's A Charge to Keep. Well, we might as well just do a trilogy. We might as well do a trilogy and get Stu, because I think Stu would just nail it. I think Stu would, like, my favourite version is the Ripper version. I think Tim sounds amazing on the original. But also I love Matt because it's Matt, and Matt's not going to make it sound worse, right? We know this. We might as well make it 3-3 and get Stu to do it, because I think Stu will still do an amazing version.
That's a great choice. It's funny, every time you pick one that I didn't pick, I'm like, man. I love that version. I love the version that's on the Festivals of the Wicked. It's so cool, since that part of the catalog is so limited live. It's so cool to have that live. It's such an underrated song. It's very melodic, and it just, I could hear him do that. So that's a great choice. So, great choice, my friend. I want to hear that now. I want to hear all 20 of these songs now. My 9th song, I go to the Crucible album for maybe the heaviest song on that album, and that's Crucify the King. I could just, nice. It's kind of, again, in that wheelhouse of Stu that I think just the crunchiness guitars, I think that Stu would just kill it. I think some of those will crucify, and I think he could just hit some of those really heavy parts. And I love the song. I think it would be cool to reintroduce people to it, because I've been listening to this album a lot lately. It's actually probably gained a couple spots in my selection. So number 9 is Crucify the King for me.
So it's my number 10 or my number 1, whichever way you look at it.
Yes.
I don't think this choice is going to just surprise anybody. I don't think it's going to surprise anyone. I think it's obvious. I think people are shouting at the screen because they already know what it is. They're not, like, if I'm doing this, like, this is the one song I want the most, I want to hear the most, then it is the song that I want to hear him sing the most. But it's also, just, I love the song anyway. It's Mystical End. What else is it going to be, Chuck? It's Mystical End of a Storm Rider. Man, like, I love John Greedy. I think John Greedy sounds awesome on that song. But bringing it bang up to date with the Incorruptible production job and Stu, my word, would it be awesome? The answer you're looking for is yes, Jason. It would be awesome.
And this was in my honorable mentions, but I'm really surprised when they added the second disc to the Days of Purgatory that, like, why did they keep Solitude and the Funeral in there when they could have had Mystical End? You know what I'm saying? Those wasn't changed, so I could have seen leaving those out. So it kind of, I was surprised that Mystical End was left out. And we asked everybody at that time frame. We asked Shulver, we asked John, we asked Abel, and nobody knows why it was left out. It was just left out. Yeah. So it's a great song. I love it, and I'll go into mine in a minute. So that's a great choice. Well, I've talked while we're on it. I was listening to the Storm Rider album, and it was close, but I thought that Stu's vocals would have sounded better on other tracks than this one, so that's why I didn't pick it. So my last track that would end my Days of Purgatory 2, you've already mentioned it. It's the epic Come What May.
Yeah.
So I think that what I heard from that live album was just, or the live thing on YouTube was just enough to get me excited about it. and I think that in the studio he could get those endings up there and take it to a new place and maybe introduce other people to it. Come What May is not an oversaturated song that you've heard and heard and heard, the average fan. So if you put that on a compilation or something, it's going to be people's first introduction to it. Just like Days of Purgatory was my introduction to the first two albums. So I think if you put Come What May on there, I think, man, it would draw people in. I think he would slay it. So that's how I would end my Days of Purgatory 2 is Come What May. Now, before we get into group feedback, I'll go into my honorable mentions. I have 3 things wrote down here. I have Mystical End, which I already talked about that. Nothing wrong with hearing that. I just thought that Stu would have sounded better on Desert Rain or Stygian or Pure Evil. So I couldn't pick it.
Man, I tell you what, right? I love Storm Rider. Joe, I always forget about Desert Rain. What the fuck? What a song, man! Jesus Christ!
You forget about Desert Rain.
I don't know. It's just I think of like Angel's Holocaust, Storm Rider, Pure Evil, Path I Choose, Mystical End, Traveling Stygian. I always, I don't know. It's just never comes to mind. It's a fucking what a song though. What a song, Chuck. Oh my god, I'm crazy.
Yeah. Well, I hate to keep mentioning the Incorruptible tour because you didn't get to see it.
Shut up.
But it sounded amazing live. So anyway, my 3 picks. My 3 pick. Hey, you got to see Demons and Wizards, and I didn't.
Yeah, but that's not Iced Earth, though, is it? It's not Iced Earth, though, is it? It's
close.
not Iced Earth, though, is it? It's nowhere. It's not Iced Earth, though, is it?
You got to see 40% of Iced Earth. So anyway,
they played I Died For You with Hansi. It was amazing.
I didn't get to see it. So my other honorable mentions is Damien, which I mentioned didn't make the list because I loved it on Curion so much, and the Gettysburg trilogy. I didn't pick this Wicked trilogy only because the first one was perfect and I didn't like the second one as much, so I'd hate to see them do it it's live, it's great, but I don't think we need another studio version because that trilogy was, Lucas should have left that one alone. There was no reason. There was no reason to do more with that. So I would love to hear him do the Gettysburg.
Stop swapping out the guns for walkie-talkies, please. Stop doing it.
So what are your honorable mentions, sir?
Mine are cool. You mentioned one in your list, which was Greenface. That almost made my list because I think, like you said, I agree. Where it's a great follow up to The Reckoning, but I was kind of like shuffling the two, and The Reckoning kind of won out of those two. Another one was a deep cut from Burnt Offerings, was Brainwashed. I think Stu would do a really good job on Brainwashed. That'd be cool. No one talks about that song, so I think that'd be a cool deep cut. And another song that's kind of it's kind of a lead single for Crucible, which I Walk Alone would be pretty good with Stu. I think Stu would nail that one.
Wow. As Burnt Offerings is an album that's aged on me like fine wine. I think if they redone that whole album, I would just be pleased as punch with it.
I see. I'm on two minds. Like I love the 2011 Dante's Inferno re-recorded with Stu Block. It's my favourite version of Dante's Inferno. Like I love it. I think the production's stellar. It's like I feel like if there's something Wicked trilogy re-recording had that production, I wouldn't hate it as much. But I digress. But I'm in two minds with Burnt Offerings because I cannot understand people's fears, because that album has a specific tone and a specific vibe solely because of the production and because of what the band was going through. You can't replicate that with a re-recording. You can't do that. It's a product of its time. You cannot replicate it. So I understand people's fears that if they re-recorded that record, it might lose something, which it will, because you can't repeat those circumstances. But going on the merits of that Dante's Inferno re-recording, I still think it would be fucking wicked.
And if you're watching this and you don't know, Luke Appleton is doing acoustic live feeds where he has taken requests. And my request on his last show was Pure Spirit, which is a short little ditty right before Dante's, and it sounded amazing. When I heard that live, I'm like, man, that sounds so good acoustically. I mean, does it sound better with piano? Of course. But, man, it sounded so good. So those songs need to be heard. I mean, that album is so great, and more than Dante's and Last December need to be heard. I mean, I love Last December. To me, it holds up great. I never get tired of it. But there's so much more to that album than those two songs.
Hell, the title track is amazing.
Right.
Like,
and what were they thinking when they redid that?
It's awful. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's so bad.
I heard it the other day, and I don't listen to it on purpose so much that when I hear it, it's so weird. You know, I listen to the original Burnt Offerings. And
I like the whole kind of like the whole kind of chimes at the beginning of the original. It's just so haunting and so dark and so creepy.
Exorcist.
Yeah, it's so creepy, and then it goes into the all the hums and that. It just goes dun, 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 like it works, and it basically you get the vibe of that album straight away. I don't understand the thing. What is that? Like, I don't. It takes away from that song completely.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking on that one. So anyway, as always, we like to get.
I want to listen to Burnt Offerings now, but it's like it's almost midnight here, so I can't unless I wear headphones.
We like to hear community feedback. So here's the community feedback. Chris Knotts said, Dark Saga title track would be very nice to hear. And then he also said Ghost of Freedom, Burning Times, Last December, Consequences.
Oh, Consequences. What a shout. That's a shout. Nice.
Phantom of the Opera Ghost. I kind of didn't consider that one because I don't know how they do the girl part. The Devil to Pay, A Question of Heaven for a single disc version. Nice. Loose Sass, Vengeance is Mine, Stand Alone, My Own Savior. That's a good one too. Curse the Sky, Mystical End, The Reckoning. He's Attila, Damien, Dracula.
Attila, what a shout. Fucking hell, that's great.
So Remy Dovington said Burning Oasis, Phantom Opera Ghost, Question of Heaven, Attila, which I told you we recently found out from, I was bullshitting with Freddie the other night on the phone, and he said that they were, on Matt's last show, they were practicing Attila, and it just didn't happen.
Oh, I love that song.
So I would have loved to have heard that. Dragon's Child, Come What May, Frankenstein, Consequences, Prophecy, High Water Mark.
Man, Consequences is getting some love. I love it. Yes, please. Yeah. Deep cut off of Something Wicked. What? Oh, love that song.
My buddy Aaron Phillips said Disciples of the Lie, Violate, Stand Alone, Damien, Depths of Hell, Consequences, The Reckoning.
Fucking sick. He's so good. I love Consequences, man.
Ghost of Freedom. That's a nice choice. That would sound good.
Ghost of Freedom would be a good one, actually. Yeah.
This Mystical End and A Question of Heaven. Adam Ortiz said Pure Spirit, Question of Heaven, Violate, Depths of Hell, Ghost of Freedom, When the Eagle Cries, Come What May, Curse the Sky, Burning Time, Consequences.
Consequences, yeah!
That's one of my least favorite songs on that album.
Man, oh, fuck me, it's so good. Anyway, quick interject here, right? I've seen, I've obviously heard you read out a lot of people's stuff there. Violate's coming up a lot, yeah? With Violate, I can imagine the Seven-Headed Stooges have seven-headed whore vocals on Violate, and it would sound immense.
Yeah, I think that the only reason why Violate and Vengeance is Mine were overlooked on mine is because they're such live staples, and I'm getting still. So that's just for me. Brandon Stone said, I Died for You, A Question of Heaven, Burning Times, Watching Over Me. Sounds great live. Dracula, Damien, Declaration Day. He kills Declaration Day.
It's so good, yeah.
The Reckoning, 10,000 Strong, Come What May. If the rules were different and it was allowed for a second disc, I would have the same song at the end of the first disc. Something Wicked Trilogy. So he'd like to hear Something Wicked Trilogy also. Charlie Espinoza said, "Hold it all cost, divide, devour." Framing Armageddon, The Clouding, Green Face, Red Baron, Come What May, The Dimension Gauntlet. Wow.
Deep cut. That's a deep cut, that one.
Yeah. Written on the Walls. So he went outside the box. Yeah. He didn't go cast in stone. He went Written on the Walls, the Gene Adam version, and stand alone.
The better version.
I like both. You don't have to pick. Now see, Live at Athens, that's a phenomenal song. But if you haven't heard it, go to Gene Adam Facebook and look at his Written on the Wall acoustic. It's an amazing song. I had somebody burn it to a disc so I could have it on my iPod. Okay, Douglas Rosander, The Path I Choose, Burning Oasis, Creator Failure, Violate, Vengeance is Mine, Disciples of the Lie, Reaping Stone, Damien, Jack, Framing Armageddon. Okay. Ed Matthews said Dark Saga, Depths of Hell or Violate, and from Horror Show, Damien or Wolf, from Something Wicked, My Own Savior or Reaping Stone. Yeah. So Reaping Stone, people want to hear that.
And Consequences. Don't forget about Consequences.
Yeah. More list about 30 songs here. Dark Saga, Creative Failure, Brainwash, Declaration Day, A Charge to Keep, The Clouding, Framing Armageddon, 10,000 Strong, Mystical End, Curse the Sky, Melancholy, Valley Forge. That's the first time we've heard that. Attila, Crucify the King, Come What May, Burning Times, Last December, Diary. He basically said every song that Stu hasn't recorded, he wants to hear him sing. Saul Montague, Red Baron, Damien, Jack, Violate, Waterloo. I like Waterloo. Declaration Day, Dracula, Last December, Come What May, Hold at All Costs. I love Hold at All Costs. James Abrams says Dracula, Slave to the Dark, Question of Heaven, Crucify the King, Setian Massacre.
Oh man, deep cut. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Burning Oasis.
Good shout.
Burning Oasis is a good song. Coming Curse, Written on the Wall, Consequences, and
good
Gettysburg.
Shout. Consequences. Good shout, people. Fucking great song.
I don't get
Love
that one.
It.
That's what I mean.
So good.
I don't hate it. It's just not one of my favorites at all.
It's got Larry. It's got Larry Tonaski's best solo on it as well. The solo is immense on Consequences.
Jeff Spuds, Burnt Offerings, Gettysburg, Framing, Crucify the King, Attila, Curse the Sky, Phantom Opera Ghost, Dragon's Child, Depths of Hell, and Travel in Stygian. And the last one we got here is John Baylor. He went Life and Death, Last December, I Walk Among You, Watching Over Me, Nightmares. He's picking some that was on the first. Damien, Setian Massacre, Phantom Opera Ghost, The Hunter, Waterloo. And then he also picked the Gettysburg, Something Wicked trilogy, Violate, Jack, Iced Earth, and Stand Alone. I mean, I would like to hear Iced Earth, and some of these songs I would like to hear, studio versions of. But we just kind of, to make things harder, picked songs that weren't on the original. So, man, this was a fun one to do, because I fantasy book this stuff all the time. I think, man, that would be good to hear this with that. So this was a lot of fun to set and do this one.
Makes me happy that people are remembering Consequences, because
what?
It's one of my favourite songs of that album, and yes, Larry Tonaski's solo is immense. Shout out to Larry Tonaski, you are our legend, and your purple axe will live on forever.
I would love to have that in my collection. That's such a sweet guitar. When I get off of this podcast before I go to bed tonight, I will listen to Consequences and see if I like it a little bit more.
Do it now. Not now, we're doing the podcast, but do it.
So, this was a fun one, and if you'd like for us to do more fantasy booking episodes in the future, we try to mix up the content, because you can only talk about the studio albums. You can only cover so many episodes. So we try to still talk about Iced Earth in new creative ways. So if you have an idea for a fantasy booking, throw it on there. We might do it. So this was fun for sure. I want to hear all these songs by Stu. So Stu, put a mask on, drive through customs, just break through the barrier, come into America, get over here to Indianapolis. Luke, you UPS yourself over here to America. Let's get all these guys in Indianapolis.
You can't. Travel's shut down. You can't fly out. You can't do it.
I said he could UPS himself. Just say it. Put yourself in a guitar case and mail yourself to Indianapolis.
Fucking hell.
Let's get these guys here and let's record.
Can you imagine? John's like, I didn't order anything. He's like, I didn't order a fucking guitar. What's going on? He's just like, hello, John.
Let me out. I'm eating crisps. I'm British. So anyway, this is our fantasy booking. I hope these guys can get together soon and start making music. I've kind of accepted that this year's concerts are a wash.
This year's written off, man. Like it's nothing's happening anytime soon.
If they can get these guys together and make a couple albums, or whatever they can do, at least that'll make up for it. So
yeah.
So I'd like to see that happen. So this was a fun episode, though. It's nice being back.
Yeah, so. I needed this Iced Earth escape.
Yeah,
so
it always kind of recharges me on Iced Earth. Like I go through phases where I need to give them a couple weeks off. I'll listen to some Maiden or Metallica or Kiss or whatever. But then, I sometimes I'll listen to one song and that's all it takes. And then, 2 hours later, I'm listening to Burnt Offerings again. And then, so it's nice to kind of to redo these episodes. And we're by no means done with the what we call the side projects, because we got some cool ones coming up. Pyromaze, we've got Demons 3, we've still got We Are Sentinels, we got some Stu solo stuff, some Luke, got some Jacob's Well. I still want to do Witherfall.
Purgatory
I might be doing
EP.
that. What's that?
Purgatory EP.
Purgatory EP still needs to be done.
We haven't given that a dedicated episode, so I thought I'd share that.
Yeah, so that's. I could do that one in my sleep. I listen to time. So, but yeah, this was a fun one. So, hit a like, hit subscribe, share it if you have a music page, and we appreciate you watching.
I don't know about you, Chuck, but I might go and listen to Days of Purgatory. I might do that. I fancy. I'm gonna
listen to Consequences, and then maybe Burnt Offerings, then Days of Purgatory.
If you don't listen to Consequences, I guarantee you there will be consequences.
And if you don't listen to the end, it will be the end.
Puns, we got them. They might be bad, but we've got them. Anyway, guys, we have been Podcast in Stone, your one-stop shop podcast for everything Iced Earth. I've been Jason. The beard's back. I know I mentioned it last episode, but I thought I would remind you the beard is back, because, I'm happy about it. Anyway, I've been joined, as always, with the incomparable, and he is incomparable, Chuck Hoskins. And like he said, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so you can see more episodes from us as they come out, because we've got some cool stuff coming up, and we will see you next time. See you later, stay safe, and stay metal, because metal lives, my friends. See you later.